Read the plum in the golden vase like this chapter 25 embroidered portrait version. Wu Yunyang is swinging in the spring day. Lai Wenger is drunk and slanders her verse version. Zue reveals the love of butterflies and bees. Lai Wang is drunk and slanders Simon King. 1. Spring swing. Time flies so fast. Last time it was the Lantern Festival, and this time it's the Qingming Festival. There are two important things during Qingming Festival. One is ancestor worship and the other is outing. Simon King is a mysterious orphan. Both his parents are dead and he has no uncles or brothers. However, he has a house, a shop and a deposit. Before he became an official, he never took Qingming Festival seriously. So Simon's Qingming Festival was only outings, and outings can be a great pastime. At the beginning of this chapter, Simon King went on an outing at the invitation of the 10 brothers, while Wu Yunyang set up a swing in the garden and invited the concubines and maids to have fun together, laughing and enjoying the spring breeze together. What so many beauties do together is interesting no matter how boring it is. So let's read it carefully. The beginning of the article quotes a song called Dian Lips by Licking Zhao. I stopped playing on the swing and got up to straighten my slender hands. The dew was thick and the flowers were thin, and my clothes were light and thin with sweat. When a visitor came in, my gold hairpin slipped out of my socks. I left in shame, leaned against the door and looked back, sniffing the green plums. This is a description of a girl and her boudoir having fun playing on the swing in the early morning. Because a guest is coming and it is inconvenient to see the visitor, she quickly leaves in shame. But she can't help but come back to peek and pretend to smell the green plums. In just a short number, the girly charm is touching. However, in the opinion of the author of Jin Ping Mei, such pure classical beauty is far inferior to the happiness in the market. In the garden, the beauties were happily playing on the spring swing, their graceful figures and refreshing laughter echoing in the air. Suddenly, without paying attention, Pan Jinlian slipped and almost fell off the swing. This certainly made the originally romantic spring and day swing more interesting. But Wu Yunyang, who was never good at joking, suddenly told an illusion about a girl who fell off because of a joke on the swing, causing an accidental hymen rupture, which ultimately led to a tragic marriage. What a terrible story, as the reviewer of this portrait said. If you don't laugh or fall, what's the fun? But forget it. The deeper embarrassment lies behind the text. You must know that in addition to Wu Yunyang, Li Jiar, a former prostitute, and Meng Yulu were present. They were married. Pan Jinlian and Li Pinger killed their husbands, raped first and then married. Chun Mai and Song Huilian had an affair with their master. It is conceivable that everyone present heard such a story about the value of virginity. It's unpleasant. It can be said that this swing has almost laid the foundation for all the unhappiness caused by the daughter's birth in the future. I think this is also the deep intention of using the spring and day swing that seems to have nothing to do with the overall situation as an answer. Why make such a connection? Let's look at the two sentences in the text describing two people playing on a swing. Two pairs of jade wrists are pulling each other back and forth, and 4 golden lotuses are turning upside down. Let's also look at a sentence in the preface of Shinshinzi's poetry book. The chicken tongue is fragrant, a pair of jade wrists twist and turn, and 2 golden lotuses turn upside down. What a violent wave. They look very similar, right? Yes, I think the swing described by the author here is actually not the same thing as the swing in Li Qingzhao's red lips. There are strong sexual implications in it. Let's look at the following. In the joyful swing party of Simon's wives and concubines, Chen Jingji floated up. Because Simon King was not there, Wu Yunyang calmly assigned him the task. Brother-in-law is here just in time, and he is here to deliver the children to your 2 mothers. The girl has little strength. How much strength does it take to push the swing? But with a little swing, mother-in-law and son-in-law, skin to skin. Chen Jingji couldn't say anything about such a good opportunity. Li Pinger asked him to push, and he replied, "You are in a hurry when you arrive, so you can wait for me to take care of you slowly. You are shouting here and there, and your son is panicking." Then he took Li Pinger away. My son's skirt was lifted up, revealing his red bottom shirt, and he gave me a push. Don't forget this season. Who is the sexual star of the Simon family? There is no doubt that it is Song Huilian. When Pan Jinlian laughed so crazy that she almost fell down. When Meng Yulu almost fell down due to fatigue. When Li Ping'er was so frightened in midair that her feet softened. This Huilian is holding a colorful rope in her hands. And her body is standing upright, with his feet on the drawing board. He did not need anyone to push him. The swing was flying in the clouds for a long time, and then suddenly flew down, carrying it like a flying fairy, which is very cute. Song Huilian was proud, beautiful, and unique, and even the way she dressed was hated by others. The storybook wrote that a gust of wind blew up her skirt, revealing her underwear. Meng Yulu pointed it out to Wu Yunyang, and Wu Yunyang scolded her. A thief becomes a spirit. At this moment, she even surpassed the princess in the world, like a flying fairy in the sky. Following the dazzling and gorgeous moment of the Lantern Festival night, Song Huilian reached the apex of the arc of her life. However, the scary thing is that even though she flew into the clouds, which was beyond the reach of others, she still failed to see clearly the people around her, and the insidiousness and evil that had been lurking around her for a long time. So, just when she was most proud of herself, the claws of death quietly approached, and she finally fell back to the ground like a swing that could never fly away. 2. Lai Wang comes back. Just when the beauties were immersed in the joy of the spring swing, Lai Wang came back. The only person he saw was Sun Sui. Yes, the only woman forgotten by the garden. Lai Wang made a bow and then she smiled and said, "Okay, you are home. You are home." I am deeply fond of and obsessed with the expressive artistic conception of Chinese. Well, if you can't understand this sentence, let me find a similar example. Chen Yuanyuan's face was filled with joy. She walked up to the old monk and said softly, "You're here." The old monk said, "I'm here." His voice became lower and his eyes became softer. The two of them looked at each other, with a look of admiration and joy in their eyes. This dialogue comes from Jin Yang's work The Deer and the Cauldron, so readers will understand that the old monk is Li Zicheng. The rules of the game set in The Deer and the Cauldron are that Chen Yuanyuan and Li Zicheng have personal interests. They have not seen each other for many years, but from the two simple comes in the text, we can see the deep affection and connection between them. Returning to Jin Ping Mei, we instantly understood that the home of Lai's home is not the Simon family, in the ordinary sense. And Sun Sui's personal relationship with Lai Wang is definitely not an ordinary affair. But just when we were feeling happy that we had mastered a little secret, the author quickly sold the secret to everyone. This is the case with this book. If you don't want others to know, unless you do nothing yourself, almost nothing can be done secretly. In the end, it will always become known to everyone. But the exposure process of this little secret is still interesting. Xiao Yu is looking for Sun Sui. Sun Sui is in Lai Wang Fang, inferring Sun Sui is looking for Song Huilian. Xiao Yu went to the kitchen and found Song Huilian. She deduced that Sun Sui was not looking for Song Huilian. Simon King went to find Lai Wang and found that Lai Wang was in the room. He deduced that Sun Sui and Lai Wang were together. Xiao Yu spread gossip among the maids about her discovery. After everyone analyzed it, the conclusion came out. Everyone knows that Sui and Lai Wang are related. Judging from the word do, Pan Jinlian and Meng Yulu must know about it. And Simon King must have been kept in the dark. But does Wu Yunyang know? 3. The man behind the scenes. Speaking of Lai Wang, he is dark and strong, but he is a master at picking up girls. According to Song Huilian's life story, Lai Wang hooked up with Song Huilian when Zhang Kong was still alive. It was unknown whether Lai Wang's ex-wife was dead at that time, but Lai Wang actually hooked up with Sun Sui at the same time. Sun Sui was quite interested in Lai Wang, of course. She did this very brainlessly, and immediately reported the adultery between Song Huilian and her master after he came back. Lai Wang was so angry that he got drunk and cursed Simon King and Pan Jinlian to his family, saying that they had collaborated to seduce his wife, and that they wanted to go in with a white knife and come out with a red knife and beat the emperor if he cuts off his life. Probably everyone in the world is like this. If you steal other people's wives and concubines, you will become romantic. There is no doubt that Lai Wang's drunken rants were spread throughout the backyard. by unintentional people as talking points, and were secretly reported by intentional people as evidence. Lai Xing is such a caring person. Because Lai Wang's last business trip took away Lai Xing's job, he was resentful. He didn't hate Song Huilian for raising Han people. He didn't hate Simon King for being unfair. He only hated Lai Wang in front of him. He told Pan Jinlian and Meng Yulu everything about Lake Xing's future prosperity. Meng Yulu was astonished, as if she were in a basin of cold water. She had a heart to fight for power, but she never had the courage to kill people and gain goods, and she had never even imagined these fields. Pan Jinlian was not afraid, but she was so angry that her face turned red and her silver teeth were shattered. She finally confessed the whole story of Song Huilian's adultery to Meng Yulu in a long speech. Those of us who knew the inside story can prove that what she said was basically the truth. Meng Yulu, who was already doubtful, completely understood all this. So she came up with her trump card. This shouldn't matter. Should we say yes to his father or not? Eldest sister doesn't care. If that guy is really at ease, we don't say anything and his father doesn't know what happened to him for a while. Sixth sister, you should talk about it. For Meng Yulu, this is the biggest thing since marrying into the Simon family. If Simon King had died, the collapse would have happened that day. Even if Simon King had not died, if Pan Jinlian had died, how could she fight against Wu Yunyang and Li Ping'er? She really can only be a Sanyang completely. So she had to intervene anyway, but why didn't she say it herself? No, she knew that a frontal attack would not be very effective. Let Pan Jinlian come on, and she could blow a hurricane on the pillow that others could not imagine. What's more, the big sister she cared about most didn't care. This picks up the question left in the previous section. Does Wu Yunyang know? If she knew, why didn't she take care of it? I can responsibly say that Wu Yunyang definitely knew it and knew it very clearly. In chapter 67, Wu Yunyang said, "You just need to send someone to tell me," referring to Simon King's taking Ryer, that he wanted his dead wife, referring to the fact that Simon King took Ryer. Song Huilian, you always act like a good person behind your back and only keep me under the tank. Now I am acting like a fool again. You always tell him that I don't care about your idle accounts. This shows that Wu Yunyang not only knew about the adultery, but also knew about the role played by others in the adultery. And she believed that everyone was waiting for her to take action. So she refused to be a fool. Why didn't Wu Yunyang refuse? Because Wu Yunyang herself is also a beneficiary. Not to mention Pan Jinlian is there. Wu Yunyang's benefit came from Song Huilian's service. Simon King arranged Song Huilian to be in the upper room, although it violated Wu Yunyang's domestic right. What's wrong with having more than one person in charge of the upper room? After a long time, Pan Jinlian is still worried about this. Chapter 29, Pan Jinlian said, his wife, referring to Song Huilian, is always behind you, referring to Wu Yunyang, but you indulge him and teach him to bully the big and destroy the small. Chapter 70, to Pan Jinlian said, eldest sister is also a bit wrong, thinking that he used the dead Lai Wanger, a thief, slave and adulteress, referring to Song Huilian. Is it a bit embarrassing? Teach me to make enemies with him and fall behind one flower. The strips of pus are still stuck on my body, saying that I was the one who brought out that slave, referring to Lai Wang. Obviously, according to Pan Jinlian, Wu Yunyang was conniving and accustomed to Song Huilian. Pan Jinlian regretted being used. Big sister doesn't care and sixth sister, you should talk about it. Wu Yunyang and Meng, this is how Yulu waited for Pan Jinlian to make enemies with Song Huilian. Based on the above analysis, we can conclude that Wu Yunyang knew everything Song Huilian did, and also understood the strategies of Meng Yulu and Pan Jinlian, and deliberately stood still. Ignore does not mean that she does not know, cannot, or refuses to take care of it, but that she does not want to take care of it. Wait for others to take care of it, and finally take care of it yourself. Regarding Song Huilian, Li Ping'er has remained silent because she is pregnant. While several other people have fully performed the strategy of competing for favorite territory 3-0 we proposed earlier, Pan Jinlian bravely hunted the cicada, Meng Yulu. Wu Yunyang happily the Oriole is behind. With so many opponents, can Song Huilian last long? With Sung Willian sample, everyone will know how to deal with the extremely powerful Li Pinger in the future.
Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.